Christmas '88. Hit it, Daddy.
Okay. Silent smile for him. Well, goodbye. Now I'm supposed to be the center of the attraction and the big show.
That's it.
We ought to do Esther first because she's getting.
Okay.
I'm tired at 7 o'clock.
Oh, she's tired at 7 o'clock.
Well, let me turn the camera over to Mother.
Yeah. 'Cause
Remembrances, Esther. Let me zoom you up.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Mother, we might want to turn your lamp out.
You might want to talk a little louder. Doesn't she have to talk a little louder?
Uh-huh. She has to start talking first of all. But let's turn your light out because that's making a glare. Yeah. Ouch.
Is that going to be too dark?
Yeah. Y'all don't have any more lights?
That's the light.
And nothing here?
Yeah.
That's the heart?
Yeah, by the door.
We're going to make this short and sweet.
Well, I don't think that's...
Short anyway.
Is that going to be light enough?
No. I don't think so.
Maybe you can move the camera over there.
Yeah, but see, shining right into a lamp isn't good.
I mean, that'll be, should be beside the lamp.
Yeah.
Now you're going to
You want me
talk.
to tell about the Christmas that I remember when we lived down in the old house,
Yeah?
and it was a Christmas tree from out the woods,
Uh-huh.
and it had,
What kind of tree?
I don't know, it had candles on it, about 6 inches,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember those candles we had.
Real ones, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was anything besides the unreal ones?
Nowadays they have lights that are like candles.
Well, these were regular candles. And we
How
had-
did you get them to stay on the tree?
I don't know,
They had little candle holders
yeah, I think we had little
that with
candles.
little clamps on it.
Oh.
And
Get them 2 for a nickel.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, continue, Mother.
anyway, I remember the
Is she talking loud enough?
I don't know. Let's get the camera closer.
dripping down the
Candle wax began dripping down.
lot. And I remember we had to watch them real close so that if the tree caught on fire, we'd have to take the candles off.
How would you do that with the tree on fire?
It didn't get on fire. If it did get on fire, we were going to take the candles off.
Had a bucket of water handy,
Okay.
just in case. Did you? Do you have a bucket of water?
No.
Should have had a bucket of water. Okay.
Would you want to tell this?
No, I wasn't there. Go ahead.
And that's all I remember about Christmas. I don't remember anything.
It never did catch on fire?
No. Seems like I remember Papa in the Santa Claus suit. I don't know where he got the Santa Claus suit from.
Well, Mama, what kind of presents did y'all do back then?
I don't even remember any presents, except I must have got that old doll that the donkey ate,
Yeah.
because that was down there. And
Y'all probably made your gifts, didn't you?
I think so. I really don't remember. And that the first thing I remember about gifts was, I think we just moved up in that new house. And always, when he came, he'd always bring fruit, apples and oranges, you know, 'cause
Those were a treat back then, weren't they?
Yeah, but my best thing was Tweedle.
Uh-huh.
He brought the doll.
Ah. The doll the donkey ate?
No, this was a,
A store-bought one?
yeah. And, I don't know, I just always, that distinguishes the difference in the two, that one thought of, kind of fun stuff. And Theo was kind of down to earth, you know,
Mm-hmm.
food and stuff like that. That's about, And I wish I still, you know, when we had that movie camera,
Mhm.
I remember we took one year, everybody in the family was home. Was it Grandma?
Yeah.
And Granny went with us.
I remember that time.
And we all took all those pictures.
Mhm.
And we lost that roll of film somewhere.
That's such a shame because I remember it had her tapping her way down the sidewalk, the porch steps,
Yeah.
and because she couldn't see very well. Wasn't she legally blind about then? From that
Yeah,
time
she
frame?
Granny was talking about her cataracts. I remember. Burr, was it cataracts your mother had removed? It didn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that really she didn't see much after that.
Mm-mm.
And
Yeah, they did it, and she had to stay about 2 weeks in the hospital.
Well, I thought you had to stay about 6.
I know she stayed a long time. I don't know
Yeah.
how.
I remember us going over there to see her.
Mhm.
And I remember remember the time that Jay stole those marbles at Piggly Wiggly. And you and I, let's see, we had gone to the rest of them, and you told me about it. And coming back, well, you were saying something about, we heard about this boy that went in Piggly Wiggly and stole his marbles. And Jay got this as white as a sheet. We just made all kinds.
How they were going to call the police.
Yeah. And,
They got a description of the boy.
but anyway, I made him, he was supposed to have taken those marbles back. He wouldn't have told the guy that owned the store. And he said he did. I guess I should have gone with him to see if he did. But anyway, that doesn't have anything to do with Christmas, does it?
No, well, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Christmas.
Well, we got off from Granny.
Yeah.
We were coming, we'd been over to see her at the hospital.
I like Christmas at Granny's, any kind of celebration at Granny's, because everybody got a Christmas present or everybody got a birthday. Or
If
She
you
had a way of
remember
making-
do you remember Granddaddy Partito?
I
The
do.
only time he ever came to the table to eat,
Was that at Christmas?
Christmas, was the only time. And-
No, I didn't remember that about him, even though I stayed with Granny in the summer times.
But she'd always take his meals to his desk, remember? And he'd sit and listen to the radio.
Yeah.
And sit at the desk.
And nobody was supposed to go in and bother him while he was listening to his news and stuff like that.
He was a cantankerous fellow, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I know somebody just like him.
I
Really?
Really?
Couldn't believe it. But, that's what you turned on Burr.
Well, tell about the horny toad.
Oh, I told that on the.
Well, I know,
other
but it's
one.
not on tape. I want it on
He
tape.
got erased.
It was on
It
that
got
other
erased.
one.
I know it
Yeah.
got erased. That's why we're doing this again.
Not on that one.
Huh?
Not on that one. I don't want to tell about that one. It's all again.
Well, tell about the donkey then.
I told that on the other one.
I know,
Can have
Mother.
all
It's been
kind of
erased.
records.
It's like we're starting over.
Well, I'll tell about the honeycomb.
Okay.
I was too little to go to the cotton patch, so I sat down at the end of the road. I found this little horny toad, and I started feeding him like you'd feed a baby, and he bit me. And he wouldn't turn loose. So I ran down the cotton patch. If I remember right, I think his barrel was pretty bad. Took part of the skin, too. And
Have you still got a scar?
I don't think so. Then my dog, the donkey ate up. I just saw the last of that doll as it was going down his throat. I could kill that donkey. But,
Well, Mama, tell how y'all got to school, about like maybe your first day of school. How'd y'all go to school?
I remember I started school when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
Mama went down Dallas to Bama.
Uh-huh.
school started, Papa put me in school when I was 5.
Were you supposed to be 6?
I was supposed to be 6.
Mm-hmm.
So
How come he start you a year early?
I don't know. I guess he wasn't surprised Mama. Papa was that smart. Anyway, I went to school every day.
Well, she's gone now. She was gone for a while, or?
Yeah, for about a couple of weeks.
Uh-huh.
And I'd start crying. And I'd tell him my lip hurt. So finally Papa took me out of school.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Well, but how did y'all get to school?
We walked
You walked how far?
about 2 miles.
Miles and miles.
In the snow and in the sleet. No, they're really.
I
That's,
can remember when it was snowing and we'd stop in the pasture
and make a fire?
and make a fire and
Good,
stand
good.
around it and get our hands warm and then we'd go on.
Huh.
After the-
They'd make a fire, Harold and Raymond.
I don't remember.
How'd y'all start it? Did somebody carry matches?
Must have. But Elizabeth called me the other day and she's telling me something about her daughter, that 13-year-old daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and they found her. She didn't go to school. And they went to look for her, and she was down in, maybe I shouldn't tell her. They found her down in Nigger Town.
Oh, Lord.
And anyway, they had to go to court and they took this little girl away from her.
Mm.
Because he beat her with a belt.
Oh, Lord.
And
You mean
then
she's living with a black man?
She's
Elizabeth
13 years old. She's just down there messing around with him.
Ooh.
Lizzie said that's what's the matter with kids nowadays. Said if you touch them, welfare will take them away from you. And said I can remember when we used to get a whipping. We got one. We knew we'd had one.
Hmm.
And I don't remember getting to a meeting.
Yeah.
I think she got quite a few.
Well, Mama never really cared for her anyway, though, did she?
I always felt like she was.
Mistreated her?
Yeah. I could tell there was, even at my age, I could tell there was a difference.
Yeah.
You know. But,
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Well,
Burr, don't you break that.
no, it makes noises like that. It makes noises that way.
So you go back like that.
Mhm.
And
Well, let's see. Tell how Mama used to sew for you.
Oh, you ought to know that.
I know, but I-
So for you,
I know.
practically every dress you had when you started in the first grade, Mama made them all.
We went down to the feed store, and if I liked that sack of flour, well, she'd make me a dress out of that material, and all the feed sacks came in
I
3
guess
different materials.
About the first 2 or 3 years you were in school.
Oh, definitely, up until I was about 6th grade.
well, do they still have flour sacks and feed sacks
But
out
she
of?
didn't make
I
them
think
all out
so.
of flour sacks. She bought, and I bought a lot of the material.
Yeah, but I mean, I can remember staying at Mama's in the summer, and we'd go down to the feed store when a whole flour sack, one sack would make me a whole dress.
Yeah.
And then I can remember
That was cow feed, wasn't it? That came that way.
Our flour.
Do you remember Christmas, how much she sewed and made dresses for everybody?
Mhm.
Clothes,
Yes.
You know,
Yes, I
blouses
remember
and
that.
skirts and, but she never would let anybody touch her sewing machine either.
Mm-mm. No.
So, I had her sewing machine and Thelma's broke, so I told her she could. So I guess she's still using Mama's sewing
I'll
machine.
be.
I don't think she sews much anymore.
I used to love all the little bitty drawers that it came with, that
Oh.
little sewing machine cabinet. Had kind of a little fold out middle drawer,
And
And-
side drawers.
and then all those little side drawers. I just thought they were such neat looking little drawers.
But
I remembered her thread, spools of thread cabinet. Do you remember that? Her thread cabinet that she had. Some man in Goliad made that, and the top of it had a line of nails. Well, it went on, it made a square, the nails did, and she could put all of her spools on those nails, and then all in the middle she could make, I guess, just put any old color, I guess.
Back then, spool of thread was about probably a nickel.
Oh, was it even that much?
And for a big spool was probably a dime
And
at the most.
a spool of thread was nickel, because I remember when I was working at the 5 and 10 cent store.
Uh-huh.
Well, Mother had bought some thread and it wasn't the right color, and so she brought it back, and I remember Gus's uncle,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Cole, he told me that she could take it out in something else, but she couldn't have her money back.
Oh, that make her mad a
And
bit.
she told him, said, if you need a nickel that bad, you just keep it.
And he kept it.
Did he keep it?
And here I was working for the man.
Put you in a kind of a tight spot,
Yeah.
didn't he?
I guess he would get me. You know how much I made a week?
No.
I made $9 a week.
My gosh, that was big money back
And
then,
I
wasn't
had,
it?
I ate out on that,
Mm-hmm.
and I paid for my room. My room was $1.25 a week, and I think I spent about $1.25 for food, or two and a half maybe. But I had more clothes than I ever had. I bought nice dresses.
I bet you did.
And
What was the dress, about $2, something
I
like
think
that?
the dress I got married in, and I bet now it would sell for close to $75
Oh, I
even.
bet it would.
And it's, I think, $11.
My
And I
goodness.
charged it and Burr finished paying for it after I got
Oh.
married. And then that's how I'm, the first Christmas I ever had with my head over there. Remember what you gave me for Christmas?
Mm-mm.
Your mother probably does. She's the one that, anyway,
Was that the silverware?
when he was a little boy, he was scooting his feet along the sidewalk or the curb or out on the street. And he stuck this thing in his toe and he came running home. And it was a pin with a little diamond in it.
Oh, ouch.
And so,
It was a real diamond? Well, I'll be.
so his mother
I never knew about that.
had that put together and gave it me, I mean, it was already put together, just a little diamond on a,
Kind of
Yeah.
a stick pin?
well, kind of just a, looked like a little bar, and in the center of it was this little diamond.
Whatever happened to that?
Huh.
Well, I didn't like to wear it as a pin, so I had it made into a ring.
Uh-huh.
And I still got the ring, but I lost the diamond.
Oh.
It's been a long time ago.
Huh.
So now you better put it on Burr.
Seemed like you were wearing that pin one time, or my mother was wearing that pin, and we went down to the beach, and we walked out on the pier, and we got back ready to leave, and my mother said, "Oh, I lost my pin." So we walked out on that long pier,
Yeah.
and
You
about
found it?
two-thirds of the way out there, it was laying on one of the boards,
I'll be.
and there's cracks probably half-inch or wider in between each board, and it hit on this board and
I'll be.
didn't go in the water.
Isn't that something?
So
That must have been before I ever knew you.
yeah, you almost didn't get that pin, in other
You
words.
must mean that pin was secondhand? She had worn it before?
Yes, I gave it to
I
her.
wish you could see the ring list, but of course, I'd like to see it now, see if it looks as big to me as it did then. It had these, I think it was your grandmother's, wasn't it?
I think so.
It had about 13 emeralds,
Oh,
and in
my.
between each emerald was a diamond. And
Well,
she had
that's pretty.
several pretty rings, but I think Burr's mother had the hospital to get his grandmother out of, I think when she printed those books or something, I don't know exactly what all that was about. But anyway,
Well, Mother, now, tell a little bit about Mamaw. Mamaw she was how many kids did she?
First time she married, she had 3 kids.
No, I meant Mama's brothers and sisters.
Oh,
Were there 13 of
13, I think.
13 in the family, and where was she among the 13?
I don't really know.
She was,
I imagine about the middle.
Was she the
Because Aunt
middle?
Exa is,
The baby? Isn't she the baby?
yeah.
Aunt X is the baby?
I would say, I would imagine Aunt Exa is the only one living now.
Mhm.
I saw a
Did
pic-
you ever know all of them?
Yeah, Aunt Exa.
All 13 of them you knew?
I think at one time or another I probably met all of them.
What were their
Let's see.
names?
Aunt Exa and would come down to Goliad during
Mhm.
the summer, and she had a daughter named Joyce.
Mhm.
Joyce was younger than me, and she'd pick Mama and Mama and I'd go with her over to East Texas, and we
Mhm.
went to everybody's. Most of them lived over there.
Well, now, Mama took me to visit people like that,
Yeah.
relatives, but I was too little to remember now. I'll be.
You see, I was about, I don't know, 11 or 12.
Well, I was 3 when I went.
I remember one time, I ate something, I remember, I don't know whether it was some turnips or something I ate, and I swelled up all over
Ooh,
and broke out in hives. Ooh, I was miserable.
I bet you were.
And I can remember this one brother, Mama's, his name was Uncle Jake. We went to their house.
Jay or Jake?
Jake.
Mm.
And they had, they knew we were coming, but they didn't expect us that soon. And over there they put sand on the floors, and that absorbs all the, they just have plain wooden floors.
Mm-hmm.
And that absorbed all the, like if you were in the kitchen, spilled grease and stuff
Oh,
like that.
kind of like in the stores when you put sawdust down. Hmm.
And I remember we got there and I looked and saw that sand on the floor, and I thought, what?
Filthy people, huh?
Yeah. But of course, when they swept it out, the floors looked real clean.
Yeah. Well, I never heard of that. Putting sand down. Huh?
And then I remember, I don't remember which uncle this was, another one. And these people, they didn't get to go into town very often, but about once a week a truck would come out there with all this stuff on it, almost like a grocery
Oh.
store with, you know.
Like a Fuller Brush man, but he had all kinds of
Yeah,
things, huh?
of spices and flowers.
The Watkins man.
Well, not particularly Watkins man.
Is that what something similar to that was called?
He could have mops and.
Hmm. Well, did that type of salesman come to Mama's house too and go in?
I don't remember anybody except the, maybe the Fuller Brush man or the Watkins man, somebody like that.
Hmm.
But they
I had
still-
never heard of the Watkins man.
You know the Watkins black pepper?
Hmm.
That
We got a cookbook, Watkins cookbook.
that
Oh.
Mama had.
Oh.
It's published in 1954.
Well, Jane even, she sells that Watkins stuff.
1948.
Hmm.
1948 is when that
Is
book.
that the joy of cooking?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I lost my joy of cooking with.
I have that. Or I have Mama's. I have Mama's.
I bet that's ours.
Maybe it is yours.
I've lost all my cooking.
It has Mama's handwritten recipes in there, some of her, like her pecan pie and,
Seemed like I might have given her one.
well, I think you did, and I think that's the one I've got.
Yeah.
Because I've got Mama's handwritten pecan.
Well, you bought
Huh.
another one, because we got
Yeah, but
one.
the other one, I like the old one better. than
Yeah.
the other one.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
But this Watkins cookbook we've got is real. It's a pretty good cookbook. It was written in 1948.
Mm-hmm.
That's-
Now, the thing I like about the joy of cooking is it gives a history of certain
Yeah.
recipes.
And this new one doesn't, I mean, you've got
Mm. I've got the
the
good
real
one
good
then.
one.
Yeah.
this other one. It's different. I had a couple of good housekeeping and all like that. Jay might have had
Mhm.
some of them.
Well, Mother, tell me, what was Mama's maiden name? Lily
Well,
Bridwell. I always forget that.
and her mother's maiden name was McMahon.
McMahon, I never knew that. And they came from the town of East Texas, that's in the area of East Texas, right?
They came from the town of Center.
Center?
Wait a minute.
The name of the town is Center, still there.
Centertown?
Uh-huh.
And then they
Center.
also, at one time, Mama lived in a little town called Penny Hall.
Tenny Hall. Huh.
And we had a salesman come to the store, and he put up a rack in there, and we asked him where he's from, and he said, Penny Hall. I said, you don't know where it is? And I said, yes, I do too. Because I don't know how big it is now, but it's, imagine a real small town.
Well, that's like when Granny and Granddaddy moved up here, when I had Missy, when we lived in Houston, and Granddaddy was helping Bill out at one of those stop and goes, and a man came into the store, and Granddaddy said, and where are you from? He said, oh, no, the man asked Granddaddy where Granddaddy was from, and Granddaddy said, oh, you've never heard of it. And he said, well, where? And Granddaddy said, oh, Dulce. And he said, yes, right near Banquetti, right? So you never knew. It's always a small world. But now, what?
Oh, I was going to say, I read in People's Magazine where Lois Child mentioned the fact that she lived in a town called Alice,
Mm-hmm.
and that for 9 miles, it was so flat, the country was, for 9 miles you could see the little town of Aladursi.
Mm.
But,
Well, see how many brothers and sisters of Mama you can name.
oh gosh,
There's Exa, was there one
Let's see.
name?
I'll name her sisters.
Okay.
There's Exa, there's Ada, there's Doshi, and
B.
what?
One named B.
And her brother. She had a brother named Jake and one named Henry. Oh, goodness.
8 more to go. Well, let's see, you've named Exa, Doshi, Lily.
Lily was Mamo.
I know.
I guess
but-
the reason I remember those is the fact that the late Doshi, I don't remember her ever keeping, but just Mamo and Ada and Alexa would keep grandmother.
Oh,
You know,
okay. The mother.
Joseph. Yeah.
What was her first name? Your grandmother. Is she the one that sat on the porch and dipped snuff?
Yeah.
What was her first name?
I don't remember that.
And she's the one that would dip her snuff with she'd chew on a stick from the tree limb, get it just right, and then she'd start dipping that snuff, huh?
And then Mama, she'd spit on the post, Mama would take it away from her, and she'd have to go out there and cut her a new one and chew on it for a day or two before she got it just right.
Oh, that's mean. But nasty.
What was her name?
I
Her
don't
last name was Bridwell, huh?
I really don't remember. I bet Grandma wouldn't remember.
Well, now, the sisters again are Exa, Ada, Doshi, Lily. That's 4 girls.
Let's see, Frank was one.
Now Frank, that was the brother, the one I was thinking. He was married, his wife was
He
named
was
B.
married to B, and B's the one that she could sit there and smoke cigarettes all day, and Mama.
And Mama would never say a word,
Yeah.
huh? Frank and Henry and
Jake.
Jake. Okay, we're up to 7 kids now. Got 6 more to go.
Never make it.
How many girls were there and how many boys? Maybe that'll make it easier.
I really don't remember. There was one, let's see, one that lived here in Houston that was named Zale,
Zale, like Z-A-L-E?
Z-E-L-L.
Oh, Zell.
And remember they had a place down in Texas City, Texas City?
I think so.
And we went down there.
I never knew about
Burr and I
this.
were married, I think we had kids.
Did they live on the water?
Yeah,
Oh, I remember going to visit some relatives that lived on the water, and
and we went out in the boat,
yeah, I
caught
remember
a bunch
that.
of shrimp.
They
Yes,
had
I
this
remember.
house all screened in with beds on them.
Yes, I didn't know that's who those people were
Yeah,
though.
and ain't Zell, that's what I'm trying to think of, who.
Is Zale a brother, or is it the
No,
wife that
she's
was a
the
sister?
daughter of one of the sisters.
Oh.
And I was trying.
Well, I remember we caught those shrimp, they're great big old jumbo
Oh,
shrimp.
Lord.
I don't think Ada was, no. Ain't Ada, she had 5 daughters. And how they all got a college education with her husband's name was Uncle Hugh,
Mm-hmm.
and he paid the first one's tuition in college. And after the first one got out, she taught school and paid the second one.
And so on down the line, yeah.
And they had funny names too. That's one that, Moe is one daughter.
Bowie.
Mohea, Moe.
Hmm.
And
Bet she got teased.
Ursel
Ursel.
and Norma. And
Now these are daughters of
They were
a
my
sister of
cousins.
Memo. Your cousins, okay. Well, now how was Aunt Ola? Aunt Ola
well,
was
she was a tailor.
uh-huh. But now, Mother, you never knew all of your real dad's
No.
other family. Did you ever meet? I mean, how many was in his
Well,
first
He
family?
had a daughter named Lorena by his first wife.
Uh-huh. Now, did she die? His first wife die, or did he divorce her? You know, she just all of a sudden wasn't, huh?
She probably died.
I can,
Because now he's the one that Mama wrote to a Lonely Hearts Club, and that's how they met, isn't it?
I think so.
And was she?
She always said she got him out of a Sears and Roebuck catalog.
Ah, okay. But now is when Grandpa
Did she?
when Grandpa Wheeler died, was the husband she loved for real, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and she had 3 kids. Well, really 4 kids.
Yeah, one died.
The first one died, and then came Uncle Alice, and then Uncle Alfred, and then Aunt Thelma, or Aunt
That-
Thelma, and then
Alice was the oldest, I believe.
I've always thought of him as being the oldest,
It's then Thelma and then Wheeler.
and then Wheeler. Okay, then
She had,
he died.
she married a tailor.
Well, but now wait,
But
where did she go?
There's another one that died when he was 2 years old.
Oh, really? I didn't
That
know.
was the same one.
That one died though when it was a few months old, about 6 months old.
I understood that he was about 3 years old.
Oh,
and
really?
I don't really remember.
Well, the picture I've seen of him, maybe he was 6 months old in that picture. That's where I'm getting 6 months from. But I didn't know he lived that long.
Well, really.
What did he have? Typhoid fever or something like that, or?
Her first husband did.
You mean the first boy? Oh, that's what Grandpa Wheeler died of, was typhoid fever? Oh, that's sad.
What happened to the kid? How come it died?
I don't know. Sometime.
Well, okay, we can continue tomorrow.
I've been
if you
talking
feel like
40 minutes.
it. Okay.
That's Daddy.
Well, continuing on with the Burwood saga.
Is that enough light?
Yeah, that's just right.
Sure indeed.
Huh?
Okay, go to it, Daddy. Now, you know what I'd like for you to tell about too on this, besides your wonderful history, anything you can remember about Granny's relatives. And I don't know anything about Granddaddy's relatives.
Well, my daddy's daddy
Uh-huh.
was a druggist,
I never knew that.
and he moved to a little town called Edna, Texas,
Oh.
and he was the first postmaster of Edna, Texas.
Hmm. I
And-
just drove through Edna.
And I think he had a drugstore there. So he was a druggist,
Uh-huh.
and I guess he got sick, and he and another man got in a buggy, and they went to, and they had a lot of money. My granddaddy put money around a money belt,
Uh-huh.
and this man and my granddaddy left
Edna.
Edna, Texas in a horse and buggy, and they never saw him again. And about a year later, or sometime later,
Now, what was his granddaddy's name?
Wood,
I mean, his first name.
I don't know.
Now, this is your grandfather's, I mean, your dad's father that we're
Right.
talking about.
I don't know what his name was. But anyway, they never did find out what happened to him. But this man came back to town about a year later,
Yeah. Oh.
deathly ill, and he was going to tell what happened, but he died.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody ever knows what happened to all that money, or whether they got to San Antonio, or whether the guy killed him and robbed him, or they don't know what happened. And they know. That's the way that story ended.
Hmm.
So that made my daddy an orphan.
Well, what happened to his, I've never heard tell what happened to anything about your dad's mother.
I don't know. I guess she must have died when he was a baby, or real young. Seemed like he had 5 or 6 brothers and sisters
No, I
that
never knew
were
all
all older than him.
Hmm.
And they were all, I don't know why they didn't take him in, but he was raised by the Simons family.
That's how come we kind of are we're
They're,
not really kin
yeah,
to
we're
them.
we're really kin to him,
Oh.
but it's a distant relative.
Hmm.
Just a 6 cousins.
Like Maureen and Jill Margaret Simons,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're about 5th cousins, and so that made my daddy probably 3rd cousins or 2nd cousins to their grandfather that raised my daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to call him Cousin Tom.
Hmm.
That was Mr. Simon's father.
He was, my cousin Tom, he was just as a peace out himself. And he was I think a close friend of Marcy's daddy that was,
Oh, yeah. His name was Wood.
Marcy's daddy, what was it,
Condren.
Condren, yeah. He was,
Right, but where am I getting the Woods?
Condren, what was he,
He was a sheriff.
yeah.
Was he the sheriff of Clayburgh County or
No,
Or
Bishop.
Bishop, yeah.
of Nueces
Anyway.
County, or he was a constable?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's how this cousin Tom, since he was justice of the peace, that's a connection between the constable and justice of the okay,
Mhm.
well,
Now what?
Well, what kind of, I mean, how, like your dad, you said your dad had about how many brothers? 5?
5 or 6 brothers. I remember one of them was named Rachel, and she lived at
5 or 6 brothers, and one of them was Rachel?
one sister.
One sister. Okay, you didn't say that.
I don't know about the brothers. I know we had one brothers and sisters, and one sister's all I know. His name was Rachel.
You never met, though, any of his relatives?
Yeah, Rachel came to Kingsville to visit us one time.
who came those 2 aunts from California? Who was
Those
Wow.
were Granny's side, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know who they were.
But Daddy, isn't that odd? There's just not much history on your family. I wonder if Aunt Elizabeth would remember
She might.
more. Because, you know, I would like to get as much history on Mama and your dad, I mean, Grandpa Taylor and Grandpa Wheeler.
I think I have the will of Grandpa Taylor's.
Now, that we ought to maybe read the will on the camera.
It's long.
Yeah,
What is
but it mentions some relatives.
It
Some of
shows
his,
how much, look at that. Oh, look at this.
in that drawer there.
Look at
This thing.
this. Yeah, let's see this.
That looks like it.
You want my,
No, this is
that's my
this
will.
is Daddy's will. Yeah.
Well, I don't know where. I guess I had it in my drawer somewhere,
You can't learn anything about that.
Well, we we can get that on the.
Harriet Suzanne Wood.
That's Susie's birth certificate?
Hmm?
Is that Susie's birth
No.
certificate?
It's just names to my beloved children.
Oh, do you know you're my beloved children? I guess you'll get it all now, Susie.
Oh, let's not talk about that.
Okay.
Well, Daddy, now tell about.
Don't you forget you call me your beloved wife. That's not what you usually call me.
Okay, Daddy. He had about 5 or 6 brothers and 1 sister.
That's all I remember. Aunt Rachel came to Kingsville probably when I was 5 or 6 years, no, probably 10 or 12 years old. And she stayed a couple of days, I guess. And that's the last I ever heard of Rachel. But she lived in Jacksonville, Texas.
But Daddy, when y'all had Christmas and stuff, there wasn't any family that y'all celebrated with?
No.
Really?
No, I don't know why we didn't correspond with them or anything. But
You reckon it was something ornery with your dad? Or maybe the fact that he wasn't raised with them
probably they just
Susie,
drifted apart?
drifted apart.
did you ever read this? I guess you did.
What is it?
When Jay told his dad he died why he couldn't pay his paternity
No.
dues.
No, I.
And they sent me a sympathy card. And he didn't know they did it.
No, so well, tell about some things that you used to do as a little boy. Tell about how y'all used to spend the night in the front yard or backyard or it's anybody's yard.
Oh, when I was born in Kingsville, we lived on a farm, and I used to play with a little Mexican kids, and I learned how to speak their language before I did English. And then when I guess I was about 2.5 years old, we moved to town, big city of Kingsville. And I couldn't talk to the kids except in Spanish, and they'd tease me about it. So my mother said I just clammed up on the Spanish, and I never did speak it after that.
Huh.
I should have stayed with it.
Really? They're fixing that
That's
over
really
there.
a shame I didn't keep it
Yeah.
up.
Here's a letter from Jennifer that I got years ago.
Oh,
It's
really?
telling about that boy that was sitting on the top when the thunder and lightning.
Oh.
The dear Mama and Papa, sorry I didn't give you a picture of Only Me, but I found one for you. Ain't Marcy and Uncle Bob came down. How is Simon? I miss all 3 of you very much. Things are pretty good. Is Carmela and Joe okay? Sunday the 18th we had not some but a lot of rain. We also had thunder and lightning. Did you have any rain the 18th? Here's the story. We were at the next door neighbor's house, and all of a sudden, thunder and lightning together. We were on the patio when it happened. It struck the Salem's house,
Solomon.
and 15-year-old Ed got struck by it. Went right through the vent, and they say he was stuck on the toilet. A fire truck came, and so did an ambulance. They took him to the hospital, but that didn't help, so they took him to San Antonio. I hospital. He's going to have an operation on his heart because it skips, and he's going to have an operation on both ears. His parents were in San Francisco at the time, and his grandmother was there. Ed has a little brother, his name is David, and he's in the 1st grade. We could have got shocked too. We were very lucky. We didn't even take a bath because it still was thundering and lightning. The very next morning, we took a bath. Loved Jennifer. P.S. We went to see Luling Recital. Luilingg. Yes. Recital.
Well, is that little boy okay now?
Oh yeah, but I think he still doesn't like thunder and lightning.
I bet not.
It blew him off the commode, literally.
Busted the commode too, didn't it?
Well, yeah, it shattered it, knocked the door off the hinges, and I mean, it was knocked a huge hole in their
He's
house.
lucky he didn't get killed right there.
I tell you. Well, it went through his hand, and it went out his rectum. Well, so he was sitting on the commode, you know what he's doing, and you know that was a big deal. Anyway, back to you.
Sidetracked there.
Tell about when you jumped over the fence and you were barefoot and you landed on a broken piece of glass.
Yeah, I was climbing a fence on the next door neighbors, and I jumped down off the fence and landed on a broken bottle, and I cut a big gash in the arch of my foot. Still got the scar.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, my mother was gone somewhere, and I went home and I left a trail of blood all over the house trying to find her. And she finally came home and
Saw blood everywhere.
saw blood everywhere, and she couldn't figure out what was going on.
I bet that had to scare her to death.
I don't think they didn't take me to the doctor, they just bandaged it up.
Mm-hmm.
But it probably should have had 2 or 3 stitches in
Yeah,
it.
it sounds like it should have had more than that.
Now I remember another time I killed a snake. It was I guess a chicken snake, probably about 3 or 4 feet long.
Lord have mercy.
And we played with that dead snake for a long time. And, scared the girls and things like that. So I got an idea, I'll get my mother. So she was gone to the grocery store, and when she came home, I had this snake laying right in front of the door inside the house.
Oh, inside the house?
Yeah, with a string around its head, and she walked in with a big load of groceries, and I jerked that snake in front of her, and she couldn't see a snake, but she had the groceries. She stepped right over, went right over to the kitchen, and I didn't get to fool her, which was a good thing. She probably killed me.
She probably would have. I think I would have. Lord have mercy, I'd have had a heart attack first thing.
That was a mean trick on her. But I never forget sitting down there, and I was going to pull that thing, and she stepped right over that darn snake.
Wouldn't that have been something she knew about it all along?
I think she laughed about it later.
Well, tell about, didn't you have some pigeons?
Yeah, I used to have a bunch of cats and pigeons.
Uh-huh.
Simon listened to this.
Really, Simon.
And the pigeons, I'd turn them loose, and they'd always come home at night. They'd fly all over town and dookie on everybody else's. You know about that, Susan. But anyway, every once in a while I'd find a clump of feathers where a cat had caught one of my pigeons and eaten it and just leave the feathers. So every time I'd see a bunch of feathers, I'd kill a cat. So my mother had about 25 of those darn cats.
Oh, God.
And
Well, you could have killed a bunch of cats. And
oh, I did. I killed a bunch of them. They're
You
fun.
missed them.
Nobody ever missed them. And
Well, did you used to sneak out of your house at night?
yeah, I had an upstairs room, and there was a big cedar tree, a salt cedar tree growing right by my window.
Uh-huh.
And I used to, after it got quiet and everybody's asleep, I'd open that window and jump over and crawl down that tree. And we'd ride our bicycles around town.
In the nude, didn't you?
Well, not then.
Oh.
We used to do that when we would sleep out in the backyard.
I remember one night, after I was staying with Burr's mother, let's see, he went out to the living room to go to bed. I don't know, we'd been somewhere. This was before we were married. And all at once I heard somebody tapping on my window. He had climbed up on the roof of that bedroom window. Remember that?
Seemed like I remember something about that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't let me in, would you?
No, yeah.
But we used to, we said we made a hammock out of a piece of canvas, probably about 6 or 7 feet long, and we'd have our mother sew up, what do you call it, a little tuck on the end of it, and we'd run a piece of pipe through this tuck, and on each end of the pipe we'd tie a rope and bring it to and tie a knot there, what do you call it, kind of a sling, and we'd tie it and stretch it real tight between 2 trees, and we'd sleep out on that hammock. We'd stretch it real tight so it'd be flat, and you could lay in that hammock pretty good, but
If you moved.
if you try to stand up in that thing, you'd find yourself on the ground. But you kind of balance yourself and sleep on it. It's pretty good sleeping.
Huh.
And then we used to ride our bicycles at night. After midnight, we'd ride. And somebody got the idea to ride around a block in the nude. And we used to do that quite often during the hot summer months. And I remember one night I guess there was either 3, I know there was 3 or maybe 4 of us. This guy named Junie and J.A. and I guess it was just 3 of us. We rode all the way to Main Street and back in the nude. Nobody saw us. Got away with it. That's before they had streaking. Well, we were
Y'all were daring.
we were really ahead of the time.
You sure were. What would y'all have done if you had been caught? Wouldn't that have been embarrassing?
Probably said we didn't do it.
That's not us in the
And your
news.
daddy would have believed you.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's like about the exam papers that you stole.
You sold exam papers?
That's why he didn't ever graduate.
Yeah, when I was
Sent out invitations.
Now what?
when I was a senior in high school, this guy named C.E. Hobbit, you've heard me speak of him.
Oh, no.
You don't know about C.E. Hobbit?
I don't think
He
so.
really killed himself and his girlfriend.
Dude.
And,
No, I don't
and,
know
this,
that.
and this little kid named Skeeter.
Right where you were born.
Really? And y'all had just ridden around with him? And
Your daddy, I think he was home about 2 weeks before you were born. And when we rode around with him, not with her, but with
Not with her, just him.
him. And
Yeah,
then
this
in about-
C.E. Hobbit had a girlfriend named Ruby Falvella. You remember Ruby?
Oh, is that the one that married
Lee Osterloh?
Osterloh? Oh, okay.
Well, anyway, he and I were courting Ruby, and she was friendly to both of us, but
She's friendly with all of those.
well, no, I don't think not necessarily. She was a pretty good girl. I think her sisters had a bad reputation, but Ruby was pretty nice. And I'll never forget one time, Ruby wrote me a note, and C.E. wanted to read that note, and I told him, hell no. I'm not gonna let him read my note. And I had a lower locker in the school, and I was bending over working the combination lock, and he came up behind me and pulled me down on the floor, and started jumping up and down on me, kicking me, boy.
Golly.
And the teachers came running in and stopped the fight. So a couple of days later, we met over across the street from the high school and back to the Baptist church. And boy, I'm telling you, we really had a fight.
Shoot.
And he was a dirty fighter. I'll never forget, I swung at him and slipped down, and he caught me with his foot right there and cut a big gash in right above my eye, in the eyebrow. And blood started going everywhere, and we fought and hit and scratched, and finally, I guess after 30, 40 minutes, he said, "That's enough." He wasn't beat, he was just tired of beating me, I think.
We'll call it a draw.
Yeah, and we walked home together.
Well, I'll be darned.
That was a pretty rough fight, I'm telling you. But anyway, when C.E. was joined the Navy a little while after that, and I guess he got in the wrong crowd in the Navy, and he was somehow got in trouble with the shore patrol. They were gonna. He was probably in the red light district, messing around, and the shore patrol, it was off limits, was going to arrest him, and he resisted arrest, and they threw him in the brig and had a trial, and they gave him a bad conduct discharge. This was before the war.
Oh.
So when the war broke out, they wouldn't take him because of that bad conduct.
Yeah.
So I think he joined the Merchant Marines, didn't he, Esther? Seaplane. And then he came back home and was, during the war, he worked for the railroad. And I think he was still going with Ruby quite a little bit, but then he met some other girl.
It's a good thing he met someone else on Ruby's part.
Well, anyway, he was planning to marry this girl, and they were saving money together.
Yeah.
She worked for the railroad at a little town called Armstrong as a dispatcher.
Yeah.
She worked the telegraph lines down at this little town at night by herself. And he found out that this girl was married, and her husband was overseas and sending her money, and she was taking his money and her husband's money, and he found out about it, so he got on a train, and well, first he went by and told Ruby goodbye. Said, "I'll never see you again." She didn't think too much about it, I don't believe, but then he got on the train, and
Well, did he tell y'all goodbye?
we had already ridden around with him. This is 2 or 3 weeks after we left town.
Oh.
And we heard that he went down to Armstrong and got off the train there and went in and killed her with a gun, and then turned the gun on himself. He was what you call
mad.
Yeah. And this other little kid that named
That's why I used to keep picking Jimmy Baptist.
say what? Oh.
Yeah, he just say whatever popped in his mind.
This other little kid named Skeeter. His name was, what was his name? Ernest Craven, or I believe. But anyway, he was a little bitty guy named Skeeter. He joined the Marines, and he came home after the war. And he was going with some little girl or something, and she dumped him. And he got a gun and killed himself. That was a shame.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember talking to him after.
Well, I think that was after Burr.
Well, that's what I mean.
Susie was little, because I used to play bridge with Skeeter's mother.
Yeah.
We would read.
That's what I mean. This was after the war that he killed himself.
Let's not talk about all that, man.
Well, okay, and then what else you want to tell you?
Well, tell about, Granny. Didn't she grow up in Fort Worth?
I don't know much about that except I know she was born and raised in Fort Worth.
She was an only child. Her mother was an only child.
Small
So
family.
that's why there was no relatives.
And
But didn't they all live together in a great big house there in Fort Worth?
I don't know.
What happened to your granddaddy? Your grandmother's husband?
They got a divorce.
You mean there's a divorce in our family? I didn't know that.
Yeah, my grandmother's husband
Now
was.
wait a minute, this is on your mom's side.
Yeah, my grandmother on my mother's side.
That's your
Her
mother's
husband,
mother.
my grandfather on my mother's side was I guess he chased women or something. And he ran around and he just wasn't any good at all, so my grandmother divorced him.
Now, was your real grandfather though?
Yeah. I don't know what happened to him.
Well, you know, I would one day like to go back and trace Granny's side of the family, the Foster side, back to Stephen Collins Foster. I think that'd be interesting to do that.
Probably so.
Stephen who?
Stephen Collins Foster, the man that wrote Swanee River.
Not Stephen Collins, Stephen F. Collins.
No, Mother, that's it's Stephen Collins Foster. You're thinking of like the General of Texas or the President of Texas.
Stephen
That's-
F. Austin.
Stephen F. Austin is who you're thinking of. Stephen Collins Foster was the man that wrote Swanee River and Oh Susanna and
Old folks at home. And
Nellie Bly, Camptown Races.
Captain Race.
Uh-huh.
That's where I get all my musical talents from. I guess Foster, that must have been.
Well, now he was married. Stephen Collins Foster was married to.
That was
He had a daughter, and her name was Miriam. And you know, Margie had told me that there was a line of Marys on Granny's side, that every child, at least for 5 generations, had been named Mary. And then I had Missy, and I didn't know anything about the Mary, line of names, or else I would have included a Mary in with Missy's name.
what would you done with the lead?
Well, I'll put it somewhere. She could have had 2 middle names. But,
Mrs. Steele has that little glint in her eye. I remember when she was a baby, how she would look up at you just so pretty quick with her look.
it's from Bill. Bill has that same little look. Missy and Bill are very much alike. Very, very much.
Okay, what else you want to know?
Okay. Did you have any pets besides your pigeons when you were growing up?
Yeah, I had a pet cat named Crybaby.
Crybaby. I remember you telling about Crybaby.
It was a great tabby tomcat. Big, mean, crybaby cat. But she was very, very gentle to me. We got along just fine. I don't ever remember what happened to Crybaby. But she'd lay around and sleep. When we used to play Monopoly out in the backyard all the time in the summer. And she'd lay around and sleep while we played Monopoly.
Well, now, did Granny always have the apartments to rent out in her house?
No, not till after my daddy died.
Oh, that's only then that y'all had that. I know
Yeah.
Helen and Johnny, what were their last names? They lived there the longest, didn't they? They never had children.
Helen and Johnny.
You know who I'm talking about, don't you? They lived upstairs for years, like 13 years at least.
I don't know. Seemed like Helen's husband died.
Well, but not until after they moved to Bishop.
Oh, is that when it was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we gave them Tweety Pie. Do you remember our parakeet? Or we gave them a bird.
Yeah, I guess we did give him a
Remember?
bird. Uh-huh.
I hope, I bet check us out missing. I think this is everything you check. This hadn't been changed, I mean, your name's not on
Well, I don't think,
there. Is it all right?
yeah.
Well,
Well, let's see. Right after my daddy died, it was after the.
oh, didn't Granny keep college students?
Well, let's see. How she got the apartments fixed. After the war, there was some people that built supposedly houses. They built a house for you from surplus army material.
Uh-huh.
And they went around town and they'd lay people's foundation and take their money. And my mother signed up with them for them to build on the back of her house.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess to remodel that garage thing and make the apartment out there.
Uh-huh.
And they finished everything for my mother, but all over town they took people's money and they used my mother's house as an example of the work they were going to do. And she lucked out, but everybody just
Got gypped. Huh?
gobs people and never saw these people again.
Good night.
So she was real
Lucky
fortunate.
there, golly, nosy.
So she got her apartments. I guess she had one apartment on the back west part of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and then upstairs. And see, they had added on to make her side on the east side more livable.
Yeah.
And then she had the apartment out in the back in that converted garage.
Uh-huh. Well, I didn't know that used to be the garage.
Well, it was kind of a,
More like a shed.
yeah, it was a big double garage with a big room on the back of it.
Uh-huh.
And I had converted that back room into my outside room.
Uh-huh.
Mr. or Mrs. or just Bill?
What?
She's from,
For the check? However you want to do it.
just Bill,
That's fine.
So I had a room out there for a long time.
Uh-huh.
Before the war, it was just the garage with this room on it.
Uh-huh.
And we fixed a bathroom out there with a toilet and a shower
Mm-hmm.
and a basin and a bedroom with a closet. I think the corner was a closet.
Mm-hmm.
I had a double bed out there. And I used to sleep out there all the time. And we called it the shack. It was a pretty neat little old
Yeah.
place.
Well, now, did it eventually then have a kitchenette to it too?
Yeah, and then when they remodeled the house, they
Mhm.
finished up the garage part. They made a living room and a bedroom, a living room and a dining room and a kitchen
Mm-hmm.
and a better bathroom.
Well, now, are they the ones that made Granny's little guest room that was kind of, went down about 3 steps?
I think so.
And then there was the apartment that was next to the house. I mean, it was attached to the house, but it has its own entranceway. And that, I remember us living there when Jay
Yeah.
was a baby.
We lived in that one. That was on the west side,
Uh-huh.
southwest corner of the house.
Yeah. And then there was the
That was
upstairs.
where my grandmother used to live in that part too.
Now, was she nutty?
Kinda,
Well, now, that's the one that wrote the book?
yeah.
And what was her name? Was that well, that had to be Granny's mother then, is that right?
Yeah, and her name was Mary
Well, see, she's a Mary.
Mary
Foster.
E. Foster.
Mary E. Foster, and
I
then
don't know what
Granny
the
was
E
Mary
was for.
Foster Wood.
Goodness. Here's an old checkbook from 69, 70, when we first moved to Houston.
My goodness
I don't know whether it's from that Long Point Bank or.
Write a check, see if it'll go through.
But there's no check, it's just.
Uh-oh.
Just the register.
Yeah.
They must have taken all our checks.
That's how you write a.
But anyway,
Why'd you do 150? That's too
Well,
much.
that's what you were doing.
Mama, don't put us on there. You don't need to do that.
My land said this.
well, see, after the war
Take that straight line.
was over, I came home and went to work for Celanese.
You got to put in no 100s.
That's very good.
And see, I worked for Celanese for 4 or 5 years,
Uh-huh.
and we had labor troubles. I joined the union, and we went out on strike,
Take it good. I know.
and tell the truth, I'm still striking. I don't think we're gonna win.
You don't know
So-
what you've been on?
That was pretty tough times. We almost lost our house, and the furniture bills
got
were
brand
due.
new?
Yeah,
Got
we
brand
bought a new house, and finally we sold the house and got $500 for our equity,
Hmm.
and we moved to
Alice.
Robstown.
Robstown, yeah.
And I got a job working for Esther's brother named Alfred,
Mm-hmm.
and he taught me to be a butcher. And I worked for him for 2 or 3 years. And then I got a job at the naval base in Corpus Christi as a sheet
Mhm.
metal worker.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked there for probably a couple of years.
I remember they used to put on big circuses. Or they had a circus that we went to every year.
Something like that.
And I remember that was a big, exciting trip to go to Corpus to that naval base where that big circus was.
Well, anyway, the big rumors were that they were going to close that naval base and I was going to lose my job. And so Esther's brother and Alice had a grocery store, and he was having trouble with his butcher, and he needed somebody to come run his meat market. So he made me a offer where we would split the profits or something like that. So I went to work for him, and it worked out real good. We made pretty good splits on the profit deal,
Mm-hmm.
and then we bought that house on Corzan Street,
Mm-hmm.
and we lived there for 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
And from that house in 1965, was it, you got married?
No, 64. Bill and I got married in 64.
Y'all got married in 64, which made you
I was
19.
Ooh, Missy's 20.
And
Ain't their word, can you?
Mhm.
and Jay went off to college, and that left us. Oh, in the meantime, I went. We bought a little grocery store, and we ran that for about eight years, and then finally business got so bad we closed it up and moved to San Antonio. And from San Antonio we went to Houston so we could be near our new granddaughter Missy. And right after we moved here, Susan, Bill, and Missy moved away. Houston.
Well, we didn't.
They took off like a duck.
Left us high and dry. We've been here ever since. going on now. How much time we got left on that thing?
I don't know how much time we got left.
It's still going?
Yeah. I don't know how long you can tape on this, because it says 2 hours now. that
What
we've
time
got
do we
on.
start?
My goodness.
I don't know.
Does it tell you when it goes
That's
empty?
awful. You don't ever want to see the rest of that.
Hey, does it tell you when it's empty?
Yeah, it'll just quit,
Oh, the light quits blinking?
I
So I'm
guess.
gonna smoke this and I'm gonna go to bed.
You're staying up late tonight, aren't you?
I know it.
What time do you usually go to bed, Mother?
Yeah.
Oh, 10. What time do you get up in the morning?
7:30.
So, why do you get up so early?
Oh, he's pacing the floor looking to see when I'm gonna get up.
Oh. Well, I get up about 7-ish.
Usually, I slept till 7:30 this morning though. I started not to turn on the light. The minute my light goes on, here it comes. Got those shots.
Yeah, I gotta go get some more, what you call those syringes? Just got 2 left.
Well, this is all for now.
It's